Yes.
Hey everybody, enough screw ups, and I think the show can now go on. And while the show goes on, I have my co host here.
Hello there. How are you? It is the same time, Saturday. It is the same channel, Numbskull,
It
and we're
is
here to talk
5 minutes
about
late.
stuff and things. Things and stuff.
Oh, I got up really, really early this morning. I was up before 4 o'clock. I was out in my garage. I found a notepad, turned on a video, and went, okay, just start throwing shit at me, and just took notes.
Buddy, I'm up on every hour through the night to
I
go
know,
to
but
the
it's a matter of
bathroom.
when you get up and go, fuck it, I'm done. I'm done hurting in bed. It's time to get up and move and hurt a little less for a
I
little
I,
while.
I sleep, I sleep for hour blocks and then go back to sleep.
All right, well, let's do this real quick. We have, if I can get my equipment to work for me, we have Sora, we have Adam McGee, we have Red Feather 1, we have the Dumb Bots, we have Cryptic, welcome, we have Bossman and the Flying Carrots joining us for a few minutes as he gets ready to go to bed. We have Chadwick Dupree, otherwise known as Wiki Snow. Welcome to the
Did
chat.
you say? Did you mention TA? TA's here.
Did I? I'm getting down there. We have TA. TA's next, the very last one, saying, "Hello, peeps. I will fire my laser." No, not
Hello,
today.
peeps.
All right, we have an interesting conversation to be had today, and honestly, I don't know where anybody falls on the idea of time travel. But after researching it, I think I'm more skeptical of time travelers than I was.
I don't know. I mean, it would explain a lot of those ancient stones with like modern devices in them.
Okay, I'm more skeptical of certain types of time travel. It's hard to explain because there's a lot. Let me make sure I'm not echoing really loud like I hear myself going right there. Sounds
I
good.
think there have been some experiments done where something in the future can affect the past.
All right. I have some theories. I have some thoughts and ideas, and I was discussing them with Director Arcater on Twitter today. It was a weird, interesting conversation, and I want to get there. I really want to get there. I have a lot of notes. I got a lot of stuff together for this show, and we're going to have to blow through a lot of information. I'm sure you can help me with some of this where my notes might be missing information, but we still need to move quick.
Okay.
Anybody? Everybody saying
So
hello in the
everybody
chat.
put on your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
I have big feet and they're going hard on the gas pedal. Let me get this set up. Hopefully I can read this. I left my glasses in the garage. Darn it. All right. Now,
Do you wanna go grab them?
no, 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 no. We got
I
this.
mean,
All right.
okay.
Here's a weird thing. Ancient ruins. So we all call them, have various different things that can be identified as possibly other things, depending on how you look at the depiction. In the
Huh?
upper left screen, there is someone from ancient Greece, I want to say. I didn't get a whole lot of information. I thought it was a cool, interesting fact to toss in there.
Oh
Opening
wait,
something
are
that
you talking about
looks.
like
What?
are you talking about like those engravings inside the in Egypt where if they take a close look, looks like a helicopter and a boat and a car.
Absolutely. But you know what one of the
Oh,
most interesting ones was? The depiction in the left hand corner of the screen that everybody is looking at. Oh! Cryptic dropped $10. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
cryptic.
We really appreciate that. The bot should automatically have given you
A
a
thousand
thousand
bones.
bones, and it has given everybody else 100 for your gracious donation. Because why not just give out more? So everybody benefits. Enjoy. Thank you so much again. The depiction here is what is sometimes thought to believe a laptop, and those little holes on the side are thought to possibly be USB or some sort of connection drive. I can believe this.
Okay, yeah, that could
There's
be
a few
laptop.
depictions like this that are seen in various different ruins.
It could be a laptop. It could also be two tablets tied together like a book.
It could be anything. It really could. But here we are. I thought it was interesting. It's going to be our little stay with. However, where do we continue from here? Let's start with what we can all agree with. We have the name John Titor, right?
Right.
All right. Who is John Titor?
A time traveler from the future.
Oh, not this one. This one, right? This guy.
He came back to warn us about nuclear war.
All right. This guy right here. And the reason we believe he's a time traveler is what?
Because he said so.
Because he said so? Okay. Let's go with that. A lot of people believe him too, because what I can't show you very well from here, I will try. But what I'm going to have a hard time showing you is down here in it. There we go. Down here in his hand. Everybody thinks this is a camera that wouldn't have been around, or some sort of device that wouldn't have been there during his time, and that he's wearing a printed t-shirt and glasses and a haircut that don't exist.
He's wearing a friggin' hoodie, and look at his sunglasses.
Is it a hoodie?
Yeah, look at it closer.
I'm looking. That doesn't look like a hoodie. It looks like a sweater and another jacket. Light jacket, probably wool. The sweater looks stitched in. I can agree with that that's a stitched sweater and that that's an era of that time camera. The glasses are kind of identifiable and cool. I didn't get a whole lot of context behind this one, though. And this one made me start digging, but I didn't have time to dig on any one individual topic specifically. John Titor was said to be, this is a reference from said to be from 2036. He traveled to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100 for the Unix software that can work to help the computers work after 2038. So he traveled from 2036 to 1975 to get software to help them in 2038.
Right.
Okay. What? Doesn't that just sound stupid when you think about software right now?
Not really. Why? I mean, yeah, old computers don't last very long.
Well, older computers almost seem to last longer than new ones, but the software isn't.
The software right. Well, the software doesn't last very long either. I mean, you know, you're talking about floppies.
Now, I wrote this note down. I think this was for John Titor. There was a patented time travel machine, tech details, printed in 2006. He visited the year 2000, claimed Civil War would stop with World War II in 2015, but it never happened. A PI investigated him in 2008 and found no such person existed. He supposedly visited his young self in 2004, yet no such person existed.
He said he was going to make a stopover in 2000 for some personal reasons. He said there was going to be a civil war in the United States that triggered a limited nuclear exchange with Russia in 2015, which nearly killed 3 million people in the aftermath. Life has returned to something more like what Republican survivalists imagine America should be.
Okay. I don't want to stick on this one section too long because things get really interesting. But this guy, I can at least more than 50% write off as possibly being fiction.
Okay.
I can throw the math aside. You don't like it when I go through the math. What did I write on the math page? I gotta say it. We got magnetic wormholes, the Einstein-Rosen bridge, wormholes travel in space and time, time versus speed of travel. Can you not move time? Time moves faster at 3 miles per hour. Time stops. That was an equation I was finding.
My noodles. I'll be right back.
Go get your noodles. I can do this. Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen paradox from 1935 and 6 that involves quantum mechanics and particles and waves moving. Alright, so basically from what I can gather, math... Oh, don't get rid of that. I need that notepad. There's a lot of notes in there. Mathematically and scientifically, wormholes and time travel should exist. It should be possible. Just achieving it is definitely going to be difficult. I have all of these listed, but some of them are going to be hard to remember exactly what they are. I've got dates and different incidents on here. So we have 2 images of John Tidor that I found on Quick Reference, and the notes I went over, and obviously what Dad is going to talk about. We're familiar with this one, but in some of what I've gone over, I found that this isn't the only part. Whoa, this isn't the only part of the picture we need to focus on. It gets very interesting as I keep going. So, with that, I remember reading something today that was put out by Stephen Hawking that implied that the ability of time travel would be restricted by certain things. Here we go. It's in Wiki. There we go. Pardon my clearing my throat. The chronology protection conjecture is a conjecture first proposed by Stephen Hawking, which hypothesizes that the laws of physics are such to prevent time travel on all but submicroscopic scales. The permissibility of time travel is represented mathematically by the existence of close time-like curves in some exact solutions to general relativity. The chronological protection conjecture should be distinguished from the chronological censorship under which every close time-like curve passed through an event horizon, which might prevent an observer from detecting the causal violation, also known as chronology violation. So from what I can gather, even if there was a time traveler, you wouldn't understand there was a time traveler, and to them they wouldn't have traveled, or if they did, it would be such a minute time it would be unexplainable or unnoticed. And it's because the more mass you have, the harder it would be to move it through time. So small items can easily move through time, while more items or larger items wouldn't be able to as easily move through time. It's mathematical equations. We don't want to dig down the mathematical equations. Let's kill the wiki page. We'll get rid of that. Alright. Ooh, look. I have another picture for you guys. And I'm skipping one on the list we're going to get back to. Look. I found a woman with 4 legs who opens a dance studio. Story and photos inside. I forget... Whoops, don't move things. Don't move things unintentionally. Click on the one I want. This is the funny Inquirer article. Or not Inquirer. The World Weekly News. Faces of Howard Stern, Pamela Anderson, and Satan appear in volcano smoke. Man's head explodes in barber chair. Why did I have this? Dead rock star returns to ghost on a plane. I don't remember why I had this. But I have this. Here we go. It was funny. I thought I'd put it up there. How is everybody in the chat doing? I hope I'm not boring you. Let's get back to something serious. Here is one we have all seen. We've all seen this, and this is thought to be a girl on a phone. Now, I forgot to go back and look. There is a story from her daughter or granddaughter written down somewhere in a book, and I don't have the record of it, stating that her mom was using studies or technology being studied, that it wasn't a long range communication device, but it was a digital communication device that transmitted radio waves. And she worked for DuPont. This is her and some colleagues coming out of DuPont. Now, if you're going out of work and what they tell you to do was, well, somewhere near or around work, if you can see the building, try out this device. If you can make a phone call, tell us how it works. And you're going to be one of the test subjects in the 1940s. I can write this off to trial technology. Early cell phones weren't this small. They weren't that capable. They would have been much larger. So it still is kind of confusing. Also, in the 1920s, because as I went looking for this one is what I heard about. But apparently, an incident very similar to this happened in 1928. Boom. Alright, now this is kind of hard to see, but do you see the little person in the hat, dead center in this photograph? Her mom was
little
schizo.
Person in the hat. Little person, I feel like I'm on a Where's Waldo.
This is a Where's Waldo. Find the person in the hat in this 1928 snip from a film created by, was it Barnum and Bailey? What did I write?
Yeah, and they have something up against their ear.
Okay, so I wrote this off for a second, then I saw something, and then I wrote it off again. She appears to actually be talking when you watch the film. Her mouth is moving. On the other hand, in 1920, there was a device invented that didn't look like a huge horn that you held on your ear. And at one end, it had a piece to stick in your ear. It looked rather boxy. And on the other end was like a small horn shape, but it traveled through a long circular cylinder to get to your ear that looped around once.
Yeah. It's a hearing horn.
It was a hearing horn, but it was a modern, in the 1920s, hearing horn that allowed people, much like this potentially old lady, to hear things. But would she be trying to hear things if she was talking? And she's not talking to anybody, but you can clearly see in a video her lips move.
For all we know, she could be chewing tobacco.
That's very true. I didn't think about that. Look at that, new perspective. And she's retarded. Do you have a problem with retarded old ladies from 1928?
Now, all these pictures kind of show supposedly somebody who's time traveling for a purpose. In other words, actually doing it. Somebody who walked through some door. But what about that guy in New York that just appeared out of nowhere on a sidewalk?
Hold on. Don't get ahead of me. I already know what you're talking about. It's on the list.
Okay.
I'm working my way through a list here. I got a list. I should check it twice.
God
being naughty. I'm trying to be nice.
Change your order. No problem.
All right. I literally spent like 9 or 10 hours this morning working on this before the person for the side job finally called me, and then I ran down there and worked as hard as I could, and then...
Num is a little anal when it comes to his order.
Well, I've got a lot of pictures here, so if I lose where I am in this list of pictures, we can go back to them later. I can reference back to them as we discuss, but I want to get through a whole bunch of instances that I found in various... I can't even cite all the resources I went through.
Okay. Remember, we're moving forward. We're moving fast.
Forward. We're a third way through this list. Very anal. Thank you, boss man. Appreciate your support.
So anal, it's echoing. So let's go.
All right. So we have 2 different women who have had phones. This one we can write off to the hearing device from the 1920s and, go with our skepticism. I don't like calling it skepticism anymore, but we'll go with our skepticism. Could this woman in 1928 have been carrying a communication device, or was she carrying a hearing device? We don't know, but we'll go with hearing device. This one, a little more sketchy, but again, her granddaughter wrote a story stating that her mother was using trial technology that was being invented at the time, and that it was a communication device, but it was a short-range device that didn't have very much ability.
Possibly. I mean...
Okay, so there is information that I did find on that, but there's a lot of other ones. This one I heard about. Let's go back. We're going to go back in time. Have you heard about this story? Where's my note on the year this was found? These are from the 1500s, or no, it's a 1500-year-old mummy with Adidas sneaker type design found. They were found in They were found in 6th century AD. They were also found, interestingly enough, with a mirror, a clutch handbag, and the apparently estimated female, I'm not certain on that, was found with a blow to the head.
Wait a second. A female was wearing those.
I'm not certain on that. All right, no. This is a representation of what Adidas sneakers would look like, based on the picture from what was found that she was wearing.
I've heard of high tops.
Was wearing.
Those are skyscraper tops.
I don't know if it was a male or female. I really don't. I just assume. I like assuming it was a female. A female got caught hitting the head, mummified.
Is it me, or are those high tops unusually high?
Possibly.
Okay.
I'm looking to see if I have more notes on these old shoes.
They don't look that. Oh, those old shoes.
Yes, I'll run into more notes. I have a lot of pages. We'll try to.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm pretty impressed because I can't seem to get a pair of sneakers to last me more than 5 years, and if those lasted, well, how many? 1,000?
They're 1,500 years old, estimated. Okay.
Then damn, those are some damn decently made Adidas.
I think about that too. If you're walking through on that stuff, look at the stitching on it. Look at the stitching on the shoes, the boots, whatever you want to call them on the left. They almost look like slightly like Indian moccasins, but the stitching on there is really decent.
Yeah.
If
sort of saying
see
that
the stitching,
they look like they look like boxing sneakers.
Holy shit! What the fuck was that? Get on with it, Numbed. I'm getting on with it. Okay, we're getting on with it. We're moving here. Let's get past the Adidas. The Adidas are interesting. We did the girl with the phone. Let's look at something funny. In 2016, a president ran for office. Andy D. Basiago, admitting how time travel affected the presidency. The Time Space Agency began in 1970 when DARPA's Project Pegasus modified a Tesla teleporter so that it could send so as to send the teleportee to a destination in the past or future. At the time, this bias in government was against playing God and quantum engineering the future based on prior knowledge of it. However, one exhortation of this doctrine was made that when it was decided that future presidents shall be told of their presidency, the president should ask President Bush, Clinton, Bush, and Obama to tell the truth about to the American people and admit they were given foreknowledge of their presidencies. Ooh, that's interesting.
I was away making noodles or trying to make noodles. Did you discuss the priest and the video deal that would look into the past?
I'm trying not to discuss priests. Do we have time for priests? We might have time.
Okay, I'm just wondering if that made your list or not. Or the Iranian who invented a device that could look 5 years into your future, but refuses to release it because he says it'll get multi-copied in China and the U.S. So he's keeping it safe for now.
To be fair, I looked into visual representations, pictures and evidence, and if I can find the link, I really should have planned the link out for the videos better. This is the beginning of the rabbit hole. This is a sturdy foundation to build or belief or disbelief for anybody. But if you go looking, there's videos that don't look edited. There's no scratches in them. They're very clear that a guy rides behind somebody unloading a van and literally just disappears. Not in a
Oh
linear
yeah, I
pattern,
love
not
that's
in
a
odd
great
patterns.
video.
The guy gets out of the back of the guy puts the
No,
box
there
down,
was
turns around, and looks like, what the fuck just happened?
no. Was that the one? It was a security or a traffic camera of a intersection,
Yes, and
and
it caught
there's
somebody
a little
unloading the back of a
guy.
truck.
There's a little guy
Van.
on a bicycle that's towing like it's a tricycle. It's towing like
No, I'm talking about a guy on a motorbike. There's a list of 5 of these that I got through. If I
and
can, toward the
this
end, I'll
guy
try to link it.
comes out of nowhere, grabs the guy before he gets run over by a truck, and all of a sudden you see him appear on the opposite side of the intersection, and patting the guy on the back. Are you okay? Are you okay? The guy in the truck squeals to a stop because he knew he hit somebody. He gets out. He can't believe that didn't hit anybody. He's looking around for the person, and then he sees him across the street. He freaks out and jumps in the truck and goes away.
All right, so we're going to go to a funny one next. This is a funny one. Whoever wants to believe that the government is behind weird technologies that make people live to be older? Well, our presidents live to be in their 90s, but the queen is in her 90s. There's people that have lived to be older, but they do live to be relatively old ages, so maybe they have technology. Maybe some countries have better technology.
Doesn't the queen like drink dead baby's blood or live dead?
Some people say that drinking the blood of animals that you kill actually keeps you healthy, and there's some scientific evidence that backs that up. That I'm still not fond of drinking blood. That's not the right picture. This picture.
I want to suck your blood. Blood.
Well, you kind of think that when you see this motherfucker. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. 95 years old.
That could be explained by genetics too.
That could be genetics. It could just be the country. They could just look very familiar. But I thought this was funny as I was going through the accusation that Putin is a time traveler, or at least defying the laws of time and aging as we know it, which some people may find interesting in the search for time and space.
Yeah, that's the other flip side. There are people that believe that there are people that live forever. In other words, they're like gods. Have you ever heard? Have you ever heard of the conspiracy theory that what's his name, Alex Jones, is actually that comedian who died? The one who was banned on the Letterman show.
No, I didn't.
Bill Hicks.
How far back in time should I take you here? There's some weird instances that I will give you seem odd for their time. Should I take you to one of those?
Sure, take us on an adventure.
There is an instance from the 1800s where a photograph was taken where somebody was handed what looks to be a jewel case or some type of CD case.
I don't see it. What,
Focus
the stack
out.
there?
No, on top of the stack, that one piece. It almost looks like a piece of glass, but you can't quite see through it right. So I'm not so sure it's a CD. NumbedSkull, you can cock blood. You can.
You got to remember.
I'm not reading right. Cook blood into pudding or sausage is very tasty.
No, you got to remember. Okay, the book, the written word, the book was like the end all be all device for communication, and they made like micro books, mini books, thin books, soft books, hard books. They made books of all types.
Yeah, that looks more like a piece of glass to me.
I mean, I remember seeing a tiny book the size of a thumb, and it had like religious scriptures in it. So you could have it
in a triangle.
Huh?
We're not talking about the Bermuda Triangle today, but
no, we're talking about
going to add that to the list.
Time travel, either manually, actually, or accidentally, or
Oh, I forgot to read Cryptic's donation. Says just cuz. Well, I appreciate that. Just cuz.
there was a time slip story in my neck of the woods. A airplane coming in to Miami International, and it was on its last lineup to the runway, and it vanished. And they sent out people to look for it in the sky, to look for it to see if it crashed. And 10 minutes later, it just reappeared and landed. And everybody in the plane, their clocks had lost that 10 minutes.
Okay, so I'm not trying to anger the boss man PR here because I know he absolutely hates the World Cup. But let's just bring up the World Cup. Do you know what I'm going to bring up, Data?
What? The World Cup?
I have this. And this is said to be some sort of smart device. I don't know. It looks like somebody was carrying a Star Trek camcorder. Now this is a World Cup picture from 19... Oh, come on. Vladimir Putin. We went over Vladimir Putin. Where is the World Cup? Peter McKinley. I don't know. What did I do? Brazil, 1962. The Brazil World Cup in 1962. It's a photo of a mobile phone taking a picture. I don't think this is a mobile phone.
Is that what the hell is in the circle? Is that a crotch phone?
No, it's a larger picture. I didn't get the larger picture. I just took this one because it was more zoomed in and clear for me to show. But apparently, this item right here in the bottom in the circle is a zoomed in shot of somebody possibly using a cell phone to take a picture. Now, it doesn't really look like a cell phone I'm familiar with. And I'm not sure if that's a screen on there or...
Have you ever seen a brownie?
Yeah, well, I've seen a few nice old cameras. I used to use some of them. My grandfather has a nice collection.
Have you ever seen a brownie?
Like,
it's a little tiny... it's about the size of 2 packs of cigarettes stacked.
Okay.
It's like a little cube with a lens on it. And as a matter of fact, you couldn't even put film in it or take film out of it. You sent the whole damn thing to Kodak, and they sent you back a new one with your pictures.
Oh, the reusable ones.
They weren't reusable because, like I just said...
The disposable ones reusable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking pre-disposable, like throwing them away. This was literally like a little leather bound. I mean, it was, we're talking 1920s.
Yes, my grandpa has one. Yeah. When you said leather bound, I'm pretty sure he has one. It's up on the top shelf. It's one of his smaller cameras.
Maybe the size of 2 hard drives stacked together.
Okay.
But more cubish.
Sorry, boss man. Like that too. All right, so with the World Cup being said, we still have... Well, back to the old lady? No, we're not going back to the old lady. We still have some interesting ones that started to catch my eye. So, somewhere in this list, I want to say it was Iceland in 2016, a picture from 1943, I think. It could have been 41. In 2016, this picture was found. Where is my... There it is, the GI's picture. Inside this yellow circle is a man who appears to be using a device. Now again, guys, I'm just showing you pictures. You want to see videos? Go look. Just search some of the things I'm saying, and you will come up with this information. It's easy to find.
Yes, he's either using a device or scratching his ear, or...
No, he has a device in his hand. If you watch... If you really look close, there's something there.
Right.
And he almost knows that he's being watched. So somebody, a couple people identifying here, you can tell that they're being watched. Him and then the guy the GI in the
How
corner
about the
there,
guy?
another
How about the
E1.
guy in the sailor suit on the far right?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The one
And then
right
the
there in the
guy with
lower
the
right
John.
corner.
Then the guy with the smile and the John Lennon glasses in the front, on the left side of the guy with the white overcoat.
Huh? Maybe. I'm not sure what this picture is in reference to. I'd have to dig a little deeper, or I might have it in my notes and I forget because I went through a lot of stuff today quickly to try and get this information.
Did you ever run across the videos of the stories of the kids that were that were supposedly brought into a project by the government? I think it was Project Montauk, and there's this guy who was
I did
telling
not
his
get
story.
to that project, no. I looked, I
Okay,
saw something for it. I thought, you know what, we might just do that as a separate show and just cover some of these that look to be the general
okay,
stuff that everybody else looks at. You know what I mean?
right.
Who
Well,
knows?
I
Who
mean,
knows what everybody knows about this? Like
I'm
these
just
weird
saying.
ones.
Okay.
In the 12th century, a young boy and a girl were found alone in Woolpit, England. They didn't speak English or any other identifiable language for that matter, and their skin was green. They were taken by a local villager, and though the boy died soon after, a girl survived and eventually learned to speak English. Finally, she was able to tell someone where she came from. She said she had come from a dark underground place called St. Martin's Land, and that she and her brother were taking care of their father's sheep one day when they found a cave. They went into the cave, and after walking for what felt like a very long time, they emerged in Woolpit. Maybe it's just a folk tale, or maybe they came from the future. After all, their story does sound suspiciously like a time slip. Unfortunately for them, they were never able to get back to where or when they came from.
That sort of sounds, instead of a time slip, that actually sounds more like a another reality, another universe.
Maybe even, yeah.
There's a story. There's a story like that where a guy landed in Japan with a passport from a country that didn't exist, and inside this passport, on multiple occasions, it was punched by the Japanese. What is it called? The border agents. They punch you, they stamp your passport. Anyways, long story
Customs.
short, customs, right? So he's telling them all about this country that doesn't exist, and he's got
Oh,
money
hold on.
from
We're
the
gonna no,
country.
wait, we're getting there.
Oh, okay.
Is
So
that
you did okay.
Oh, I think that was this one. In 1954, a man trying to get through customs at Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan, had a bit of trouble with custom agents. It wasn't because he forgot to declare something on his customs form. It was because he claimed to be from a country that didn't exist, as he
Right.
had a passport stamp that proved it. His passport was from the country named Torrid, which he claimed was between Spain and France. When customs officially
Right.
pulled out the map and asked him where he meant Andorra, he became angry and said that yes, the location was right, but Torrid had existed for at least 1,000 years, and he had never heard of Andorra. He was given a hotel room for the night while police tried to figure out what was going on. Even though they were armed guards posted outside his room, the man had vanished by the next morning. His passport,
Not only
which
that,
had been
but
stored in the security office at the airport, was also gone. Officials never
right,
figured out the mystery of the man from Torrid. There's a picture
right.
here of the area he
But
claims to be
but
from.
again, that's not necessarily time travel. That's more proof of multiple dimensions.
Dimensions or a time slip? How do you know?
Well,
Hold
well,
on. We're going to get to why that's confusing later in today's show. And we're already 45 minutes in. I'm not even through the list yet, and I haven't
right,
even gotten to the notes on everything.
right. Okay, keep
This
going.
is, like I said, this is going to be an intense show. Now, starting to get out of order because I don't remember which one is which for certain things. I want to say this is an interesting one I found. In 1996, a man and his wife were shopping in London. His wife went into a bookshop while he took off for a CD store down the street. As he walked away from the bookstore, he noticed that everything was suddenly quiet. Then a van that looked like it was from the 1950s honked and swerved around him. Somehow he was standing in the middle of the street, and stranger than that, everyone around him was dressed in 50 styles clothing. Confused, he tried to get back to the bookstore, but it wasn't there. In its place was a woman's clothing shop named Cripps, so he went into the clothing shop, but as soon as he did, it was a bookstore again. He was back in 1996, but couldn't figure out what had happened to him until he learned that Cripps hadn't existed since the 1950s.
Right. Yeah,
I ran into a lot of these stories.
Yeah.
So I have to wonder the validity. Obviously, sometimes there are weird things that happen. I can't deny that. It's all up to you to decide what you want to believe in. How.
That's the thing. If let's say time travel does exist, if we're manually doing time travel, then obviously there must be natural occurrences of it too.
Okay, so I'm getting closer and closer to the most interesting.
It's kind of like, Franklin putting the key on the kite for the lightning. That's the natural version of it, and then the mechanical version is all the electricity you see around you right now.
Sorry for the extra noise. Okay. This one I have to find a note for because I don't have the picture.
This is the one from New York, right?
This is one of the ones from New York.
Guy shows up on a sidewalk, steps in front of a car hits him. First, before he got hit by the car, he was like amazed, gobsmacked, in awe, whatever, and then he gets hit by the car. Cop shows up, searches his pockets, he's dressed in 1890s clothes. It's like the 1920s. And he's got early currency in his pocket. He's got ID from that time early. And nobody can place him in that particular time and date, but the cop did find a report from the turn of the century saying that this guy was reported missing. So he jumped from the missing time, or the time he was missing, to that point where he got run over.
Okay, so this is Rudolph Fentz. And he disappeared in 1876 and reappeared in the 1950s. A report went for him being missing in 1876 by his wife. When he was found with... I'm trying to find the rest of the information on him. He was found with coins from 1875 and prior that had no age to them. He was found with currency and documents and information of who he was that had no age. He apparently just appeared out of nowhere, stumbled into the street, and got hit by a car. So, very unfortunate. There's more of these, too.
A car that would have freaked him out if he saw it for the very first time.
Yeah, if you saw a street full of them for the first time, never heard of them, didn't know they were there, you'd be scared, too. Oh, shit, it's coming at you. What do you do? Is it going to stop?
Not only that, but this was his neighborhood.
Yeah.
He was missing in his neighborhood. This was his neighborhood. He didn't travel very far. He just moved through time. So imagine, taking a few steps and going from 1870 to 1950.
Okay. Now, we're going to wind this down with what had to be the most interesting. I think I've gone through this whole list. So we've done Wool Pit, where the kids were green. We've done The Man from 96. We've done 1954. Oh, we skipped one. But this has to do with the next one, so we're going to hold off. Alright. This one's going to be a hard one to explain. I think it's the last one. So we need to move... Which one did I just skip? We'll call it G, because It starts with
Hey,
a G.
Adam McGee, subscribe to me. Thank you, Adam.
Hey, good job. He keeps a lot of information on his channel. If you ever want to search stuff, just go look at Dada's channel. He's got playlists for weird things you can just go look at. Like 9/11, which we might cover again because I've been looking at weird evidence, but I'm not talking about that right now. Okay, so there is a guy, I believe we're looking for Andrew Carlson. Do you know that name?
Andrew Carlson. No. I don't.
Oh, man. Andrew Carlson apparently disappeared after he got bailed out. Claims to be from 2256. He traveled back in time, and I hope I'm not confusing my time traveling people. Somebody, if I'm wrong, please yell out, "No, you're wrong." If you know
He
I'm
was
wrong.
jailed. He was a Wall Street whiz, jailed on insider trading charges, has vanished. That's funny. So, in
Okay,
other
so
words,
apparently he appeared in 2003. He started with $800 and in 2 weeks made $350 million in high risk stake deals on the stock market. He was
right.
investigated very quickly by the FBI for insider trading, and he supposedly gets interesting. Supposedly gave them Osama bin Laden's whereabouts and the cure for AIDS, which starts to go back into unbelievable for me. Claims to be in the photo. Okay. Claims to be in this photo right here.
Oh, really?
This guy claims that he was with the hipster at the bridge. Do you think you can pick out which one he is without me pointing it out?
I'm looking. I've got a zoom. I've got a magnifying glass on it.
Oh, I will. Oh, I guess I have to
I don't,
expand the right
I don't,
one. I'm going to expand this. Hold on. So we're going to zoom in to the guy he claims to be, and we're going to look back at that picture again.
oh, I see it.
Is everybody
I
looking
see
at the
him.
guy? Robert
Yeah,
Paulson. Are you sure, TA?
and you know what? The clothes look kind of odd for that time too.
Are you saying that because of suggestion? I'm just looking at the face. And to go from that
Well, you see the
to...
sweater vest and the tie.
Am I confusing my time travelers? Maybe I am. But then there's another one, I think,
Wait a second, the hair's way different.
that claims to be that kid with the oversized shoes. So,
Okay,
again, I got to
now
go
wait
through
a
my
second.
notes. Do you
Now
know
wait a
this
second.
one?
The kid with the oversized shoes was the kid I was talking to you about, the Project Montauk. He actually was sent back in time, and this actually is a scene of what is it? President Lincoln doing the 4 years
Gettysburg
ago
Address,
speech.
correct.
And he supposedly showed up at that time, and he was shivering because he didn't have any clothes. And some guy grabbed him and brought him into a store, and they picked through a whole bunch of clothing, and supposedly, actually, the guy that grabbed him was his father. Unbeknownst to him, unbeknownst to his father, that was his son.
Did I miss Dewey? Oh, hey, Dewey. Welcome to the Angry Amish Hitman. I didn't see you there. Chat more for me, and I'll know you're there. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. This is definitely an interesting show. I think I'm running out of pictures, but we can always go back and refer to them as we need to. So I think we've gone through... Oh, we have
Yeah,
gone
there was
through
something.
all of
There was
these.
something about genetics and time travel where some people just weren't. They didn't have the genes for it. They would go crazy. Their minds would crack, and supposedly this kid and his father were involved in the project, and they were successful time travelers.
There are many different weird things that you come across when you start looking into time traveling. You're seeing a bunch of them pop up on your screen now. And
Yeah.
this is just from about 6 or 7 hours worth of searching and a few hours
Oh
worth
yeah.
of trying to get them on the screen. Now, I have more that I didn't have time to get all the images up because I was doing another job today.
There is a
Um,
lot. Hell, look at some of the. We confuse a lot of the ancient artwork also with UFOs. But what about that one where you have God sitting at the throne and a picture of the Sputnik at his feet, the
hmm.
sphere with the antennas off of it?
And as we were talking earlier, the ones that look like helicopters, tanks, planes, other various
Right.
war equipment that didn't exist at the time. We also, just this year, have had two. I got reference of one in front of me, but I have a short note. Alexander Smith in February 2018 says he's from 2118, says he's one of the first from a CIA mission and claims that alien life exists.
Old news.
So Andrew Carlson from 2003 was accused of insider trading. Claims to be in the bridge photo. He skipped town, and when researched, apparently he didn't exist before 2002, which is about the time he showed up because he was found and charged in 2003. A mysterious man showed up, paid his $1 million bail. He got out and disappeared.
I wonder if he put all that money in a trust fund.
I don't know.
Because
Okay.
could you imagine 100 million or that amount of money sitting in
From
in an
800 to
account
350
for
million.
a thousand? Yeah,
You
for a
guys can
thousand.
look into me for insider trading. Do you think you can give me a few dollars to work with, though? I just won't do such high risk investing.
I mean, with that amount of money, I'm sure it could be kind of easy to skim a little here and there or whatnot. But
All
anyways,
right. So, trying to go down the list. Obviously, things are going to be out of order because I made this list a few times over because I kept coming across certain stories, which made me want to get some of them more frequently when I saw them a lot. Um, I can't pronounce this right. Haka Norinas looking for under sink. Oh, there was a commercial in Sweden about a guy who looked under his sink and found a wormhole. It was a commercial. Don't be fooled when you find that. The matching tattoo guys, they're not father and son. Don't take that. Pegasus in 2004. What did I write? 7 to 12, teleportation, time travel, DARPA, Tesla design, overseeing
I think you're
slaves
still
at
on an old
Linkhold.
slide. No, are you on an old
I'm on.
slide?
I have all the slides just clicked on. I was just streaming through them for everybody to look at the
Oh,
different
okay.
pictures as I did it. Um, Apparently, just before Hitler came into power, there's a picture that I found, but I didn't get loaded because it was the wrong format for me to load. I couldn't find one the right format in time. Before Hitler started with the beginning of the executions, there's a photo of a bunch of the troops, and then there's one man standing in the center with glasses and a hat on, and he's looking right at the camera. Very clear. Everybody else is, moving around in the picture and not paying attention.
Right.
The lady or person with the shoes, travel bag, and whatever, that was from the Altai Mountains in Mongolia, China. Mongolia is in China. Mongolia. Let's just say Mongolia because I don't know anything.
Yeah, Mongolia is in China. Well, yeah.
All right, so I watched one video where a man on obviously a gas scooter disappeared after he passed by a guy unloading a van from a CCTV. I watched another one that was a live news report and nobody seemed to catch at the time, but when you're watching it, you do kind of get that question in your mind is like, how did he fit there? So there's a video footage of this guy being interviewed by the news, and as he's being interviewed, this old guy comes from the space behind him in an area where there is no space for him to have come from. Just like appears in somebody's
Right.
shadow on a bicycle.
Interesting.
and keeps
On a
riding.
bicycle, on a bicycle, no less.
And just keeps riding. And I swear I watched it over 4 or 5 times myself. He comes from nowhere. Like, the only way he could have done that is if he was standing in a very, very specific way, in a very specific angle, and it was weird.
Could it be an edit?
It's weird. No, it did not look like an edit, but I could still be wrong. There's great people at Photoshop out there. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, remember that was the discussion we were having with UFOs.
That one was in Russia.
We could have the best proof in the world, but since Photoshop is out there.
All right, at the end of me researching, and then I'm going to go back to the beginning where I wasn't when I started going through this list. There is apparently backup footage from a car, which is blurry at best, showing something opening and 7 people coming out on a building that didn't have doors there.
Interesting. I haven't seen that one.
It's a little blurry. I will try and get you the one I was last watching if I can find it. It's really hard with as much content as I watch, but I'll try and get links and stuff out if people want them.
What I'm saying is you should probably link a lot of this stuff in your description.
I'm going to try, because to go through my history is insane at best.
I hear you. I mean, mine too.
Alright, so we did John Tidor, we did time travel, we did Charlie Chaplin, we did Carlos Endel from the Philadelphia experiment, doing unified field theory, can bend light, time, and space, build an invisible time machine. That's Carlos Allende, Allende, who's also Carl Allen, apparently involved in a project.
Did you ever hear the theory that you cannot go further back in time than the machine was built?
I've seen a few of those, but I didn't really catch on to those today. Maybe I'll have to do a more like in-depth what are the theories. I was looking for some evidence or something that make people believe or disbelieve. I don't know. If you see this picture, do you believe in time travel? Do you disbelieve in time travel? This is what people are looking at that gives them their proof that it's true. And I still see some of it and go, eh.
There are physics experiments that manipulate. They have actually tested and proven that manipulate the past from the future.
Yeah, and they can create a magnetic wormhole. They can do it. They can create wormholes. It's a magnetic wormhole. They don't know where things go. They don't know exactly what they're doing with what they're creating.
I thought of this joke. Wormholes can be buggy. Get it?
I do. Get it. Let's see. We talked. Oh, interesting information. What was his name? Andrew Carlson, I think. 2003, the one who did the trades. 126 high-risk trades. Andrew Carlson. He went from $800 to $350 million. Couldn't be traced before 2002. Bailed out at $1 million and then disappeared in 2003. There was the Squadron. Apparently there was a fighter before World War I who went to a base, and as he was flying over the city of I forget what the city. This was Freddie Jackson.
This was in England.
Yep, and he flies over the city and sees it in ruins.
It was a World War I fighter plane. He took off from his grassy field of an Air Force base. And then when he landed on like a modern Air Force base with concrete. And he ended up freaking out after meeting a few of the people there and getting it back in his plane and flying up and disappearing.
No, he took pictures, but the pictures he took showed what things looked like at the time where he was when he developed the pictures. So nobody believed anything about his story.
That's pretty wild, huh?
Yeah. In the 17th century, cathedral was found with astronauts sculpted into parts of the Spanish building.
Into the stone.
Into the stone. From the somewhere between the 16th to 18th century, they were sculpted in when we didn't have astronauts. I can kind of put that off to attempted water suits because in the mid to late 1800s, they were working on ways for people to be able to breathe underwater. And they had large metal suits that somewhat resembled
but not
space.
like.
I
But
know,
they didn't look anything like. Yeah.
I don't know.
They didn't look
How
anything
do you?
like.
What if it's a suit as it looks when you're carrying like the whole system? Because the system came with a pump that had to sit on the boat that often had a square packed design.
No, it was more. It was more like an upside down cup that they pumped air into. But anyways.
1950, 20-year-old man opened the square hit by taxi. That was the one from 1876, ruled off fence. We talked about the guy from Torrid headed to Tokyo. We talked about the 1,500-year-old mummy. We talked about plane in 1935. Sir Robert Victor G. Had landed on... no, he was going to Scotland. He was in an unfamiliar place and recognized a plane he saw a plane in 1935 at a base in Scotland, but he apparently visited a base that was in 1937 because when he went back 2 years later, it was explained that that plane was a new production line plane that they had just gotten. It was the Miles Magister, a 1937 production plane. He thinks he visited the future on his trip. There's also 2 ladies in Versailles that think they went through a time portal. They were Oxford employees in 1931, and they were visiting the Versailles Palace and saw old-fashioned people in dresses and a man with who possibly had smallpox. Thinking this might have been a paranormal activity, they went about their business until they realized that the people they saw were people from history who would have been at the palace at different times.
Did they see them?
They saw what they
thought
to be the people.
Did the people from history see that?
And if you look at the story, it claims because each of them wrote their own story about what had happened separately, and then the 2 of them compared this story, and then they wrote books about their comparison of the story.
So did you run across the Vatican priest that invented the chronovision machine?
No.
Yeah, supposedly the guy invented this machine, and he was able to even see on what looked pretty much like a television. He was able to see like the crucifixion of Christ.
Nope, didn't run across that one at all. Just shows you how much there really is out there. What percentage of our brain do we actually use? I don't know. I'm pushing too much because I get headaches some days after I take in too much information. I know that 5% is bullshit, but we still don't know 100% about it, right? What if the time travel were capable by thought alone? Yeah, what if healing your body was capable by thought alone? What if you didn't have to eat because you collected your food from the energy of the environment around you? Don't do it. Don't do it.
There were government projects for out of body experiences and what was it, visions. In other words, people would be given locations and they would be sat in a room and they would say, okay, go, and they would start writing out different things and either drawing or writing or whatnot, and then they would compare that to the location. And a lot of them, I mean, the ones that were good were unexplainably good, to the point where one department called them and said, there's a spy in our complex. Where is he right now? and this guy pointed out a office that was on the roof of a building, and when they went to that office, they actually nabbed the spy. So it looks like your skull bot is going bananas.
I found it. I needed that.
You found your skull bot going bananas?
Did it stop yet?
I can't tell because it's spamming like crazy. Oh yeah.
Did you break it, man?
I don't know it, man, but it stopped now. So if you broke it,
the word doctor broke it. I think I got it. I think I fixed it. Yep, I caught the bot. I didn't have to kill it. I fixed the bug I didn't know about. Good job, though. Good job. I encourage trying to break the bot, but we need to move on.
So you finished your list?
I have not. I still have 3 more pages.
Oh, what time is it?
I'm not even kidding. Hold on. We're going to go through this quick because we've already gone through, I think, all of these but 1 or 2. Noah was the other 2018 time traveler. He was 17 years old, claimed to be from 2028. He says that in 2028 we have time travel. We've been to Mars. Donald Trump wins his second term. A president is elected named Alana Rameke, who was elected in 2028 for the 2030, according to the time traveler. But his voice is augmented and his face is blurred. We did that. Tyson and Peter McKinley, casino camera. In 1995, they are caught on a casino camera with a device that is thought to be a smartphone in 95. The picture we're looking at on our screen, the picture is from 100 BC, ancient Greece. It's a depiction of a laptop with ports, was what some people think. 1848, Abydos, hieroglyphs on the war of equipment. We somewhat discussed that. 1940, before Hamburg. This is a repeat, no photos. The photos are no good. Operation Gomorrah, time rift. We sort of discussed that. Iceland, Chaplin, Brazil. Professors at Versailles, the China tomb that's 400 years old that has a wrist. Oh, in 2008, a tomb in China that's over 400 years old was found with a man with a wristwatch that said Swiss on it. The watch didn't exist at the time he was buried. It was before the 1800s.
Yep.
We did Alexander Smith. We did Andrew Carlson. We did the CD case. We did Haka Neurones, the fake commercial. We did Vlad from 1920, 41, and today, Mr. Putin. We did Pegasus from 2004. Andorra Torrid with the Visa passport. Hitler's 700 pictures. I've gone through this whole list. Woo! 7 pages and so many pictures. Do we have any questions, thoughts, comments, other criticism? We'll give this show... 15 more minutes sounds about right?
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
All right. What do you guys think? I brought a lot of stuff to the table today. Please help me think, because I'm also thinking about the fact of what I was talking about earlier, where time travel would be possible. And if you were to time travel, consider this. Consider you were to time travel. At the point when you went back in time, you may have traveled or moved through time, but you're not a traveler. That time is going to change according to the decisions and things that changed in that time, which means the time is going to become something new, which means you didn't change time, you created a new line of time. Well, not a linear pattern, you created a new extension of time, which just happens to ripple back before it ripples forward. It relays on causation from earlier in time to continue. So, confusing.
Well, what about this? If you're in a time machine and you go forward in time, Wouldn't you change locations? Because the
That
Earth
was
is spinning.
another thing. It's not
Wouldn't it
just
be
the
the
Earth
Earth?
spinning, Data.
Well,
The
no, I
Earth
know
is
the
spinning. We're
solar
going around the sun. The
solar
sun's moving around the solar
system.
system. The
Right,
solar
right,
system's
right,
moving
right,
through
right.
space. What would happen if you tried to travel
Wouldn't you
through
end
time and
up
went too far?
right?
You just
Wouldn't you end up in the middle of space?
in the middle of space. Is that why we lose people who attempt time travel? Is that why you can only go certain distances, or you have to accommodate for? Maybe we have to accommodate for the speed at which we're traveling through the universe. Here's a question.
Unless gravity pins you to the spot.
Here is a question. Let me see if the chat has questions. Liver with a side of lava beans and a nice bottle of Chintai. I don't know. How about deja vu? Could it be stretched to say that the belief in the future? Okay, hold on.
That's pronounced Chianti.
What? Okay,
Not
Chianti.
Chintai.
Sorry, I'm not very diversified. I suppose I don't know. What Sora's saying here about deja vu, we can say Stephen Hawking possibly even attributed to the possibility of this. Again, time can move in small increments for small items. It's going to be harder to move that small increment for items as they get larger in mass and substance. So if you moved through time, what you saw would have been something you think you saw. So is deja vu an instance, maybe an electron pulse that tells your brain something's going to happen, maybe a signal sent back to see if small changes can be made?
Maybe we also can move in time in our dreams.
Ooh. Because dreams aren't held by the time-space continuum. They're more open and we're able to affect things.
You know, since we can make our own reality with our own brain, maybe we can also explore time in our dreams.
Okay. So let's talk about this. I got a weird thought pattern that we're going to throw here. Kick ass. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, you just want me to read funny comments. I will fire my laser. I will destroy your moon. Okay, stop. I'll memorize it later, Dad. I've do too much research to research Marvin the Martian.
It's a plutonium P-38.
The plutonium P-38 space laser.
Modulator.
Damn it.
Out loud.
Be a good one. Alright, so we're moving through the universe at a certain speed, correlated to the speed of everything else. Here's a thought. We can hypothesize, theorize, whatever you want to call it, that the closer that we move to the speed of light, that the slower the time moves for us as we move prospectively to the speed of light. But comparatively, we've never thought about this backwards. At what point does time move at its fastest? And that would be if something is standing still. Right?
Or would that be in an area with no gravity?
No. Think. Gravity would have no mind. Time is correlated to the speed at which you're traveling. Time changes if your speed has to change. The faster you have to go, you have to start to accommodate for time of things traveling slower than you. So, if we are on a planet that spins at 1,500 miles per hour and goes around the sun at 10,000 miles per hour, that goes through the universe at 100,000 miles per hour. These aren't the right numbers. We'll just throw it in there for now. But we're moving extremely fast. What happens if you're at a point in the universe that doesn't move? As you move faster through space, time moves slower. So if you're in somewhere in the universe that doesn't move, i.e. the center of the universe, the area supposedly to be the Big Bang, if you're in the center, time is moving exponentially fast comparatively, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, in a way.
Welcome, Ortiz805. How are you doing?
what would happen if you've lived at the bottom of the ocean your entire life? You don't feel that pressure. You don't feel that speed. So when you're brought up to the surface, that's where zero pressure occurs, and you end up popping.
But it's not zero pressure. It just feels to be a lower pressure. Consider that, though. Take that to the beginning. Just think this through. As we're getting towards the end of the show, I want to blow people's minds. I want you to think about this, Data. Think about what I came to thinking of time travel.
Well,
if the way to affect time is dependent on the speed at which time is traveled, and traveling through time is dependent on the speed at which you are traveling, comparative or relative to the speed of light. So, then, if you can manage to put yourself in a position in the center of the universe, let's say, where the Big Bang happened, then time would be moving exponentially faster, farther away from the speed of light. So if you eliminate speed, i.e. an area that wouldn't be moving, perspective to anything else in the galaxy, universe, anything, then that would be moving the fastest. Time would be happening at the fastest from that point, thus expanding from that point and slowing as it expands. Therefore, time, calculated from the center of the universe, the center of the universe is experiencing time faster than anything else, ever.
And it also happens to have a monstrous black hole in the middle. So it's experiencing gravity beyond
fastest time.
Well, now here, how about this? Since it has zero speed in time, maybe the black hole is the counterbalance, increasing the gravity to almost infinity.
But if the gravity at the center were almost infinity, that would cause everything to pull back, which would cause speed to reduce.
Right.
Could it be perhaps it's not a black hole? Could it be perhaps it's not a black hole, but the reverse of?
You would get sucked into another reality.
Well, think about that. If a black hole slows things down, then what if it only appears to be a black hole because things appear to be going slower because at the speed at which thing is moving?
Yeah.
It's not really a black hole, it's a negative black hole.
Our gray matter's firing on all cylinders, boy.
Do you believe in time travel? If you're watching this on the playback, leave something in the description. If you're watching this now, make sure you like and share and do all the other fun things.
The Wild Fox got it. It's a white hole.
It's a white hole. No, that's a totally different circumstance. I forget what it means in science. We're talking a negative black hole, a time.
It's the universe's front hole.
Okay. I'm missing things. It's the universe's front hole, and I got you. I'm a little slow, but I got you. All right, folks. Hey, boss man, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. Everybody, have yourselves a fine evening. Remember, look into things. Check it out. It's interesting. Make your own opinion. We just bring you some of the information and let you guys hear it. It's a brown eye. I hope
might as well hear it now before they nip all this stuff off the internet, and all you're gonna see is the nightly news the way they want to tell you how it is,
which we discussed earlier in the week, I believe. And on that note, folks, we are going to leave you with my currently decent outro, if I remember how I'm doing this.
Bye, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending another Saturday with us. I hope to see you again next week.